Hi everybody, sorry I'm late. I just did a photo finish muster and realized I was running late for my live video session. So, I gotta run. So you know what, today this fits in perfectly with today's topic. I got the heart rate up and I'm running 90 mile an hour, and now I gotta slow down and think about what I was going to talk to you about today, which actually happens to be some of my favorite oils. Lavender here, if you can see that, which is really good for calming. So you know what, I'm just going to take a second and breathe nice and deep so I can get reprogrammed. And boy, doesn't that help. That's really amazing how an aroma can just change your whole state of being. And that's because they work on the parasympathetic system. This applies to us as well as our animals. So in regards to our animals, how many situations do we put our animals, our horses and our competition horses especially, how many times do I put them into a situation where they might feel stressed or nervous or agitated? To name a few, it might even be trailering, maybe when the farrier comes, even showing. Some horses just get excitable and nervous about showing. I gotta plug my phone in here, sorry guys. Okay, there we go. And things like going to the vets, they get very upset. I don't know if you guys have a dog that you take to the vet regularly and they just nervous and shake. Well, lavender oil would be the perfect solution to help that animal calm down in that environment. So I did a little bit of research, a little bit of Googling, and you can just type in lavender essential oil and horses, and you'll find where there's been several studies done on but does lavender calm an animal in various situations. So the University of Arizona, there was an undergraduate student who was studying heart rates and heartbeats, and she did a study on some horses, and she found that they had the obvious signs plus the scientific. They were studying not so much the heartbeat, but other factors about the heart. And it was the parasympathetic component of that heartbeat, excuse me, that changed from when they were exposed to lavender oil being diffused versus just water misting. And they also actually compared it to the oil chamomile, but lavender was the only one that they actually found a difference on. From it would actually become slower and more relaxed. And not only that, the visual signs of a horse being relaxed, the head dropping, the lips, licking the lips, all of those, chewing, all those were signs that the horses were feeling more relaxed as well. You can see that with your own horse. So you can do this experiment with your pure essential oils, as I always stress that they need to be pure so that we're not exposing them to harmful chemicals. As I've said before, you can Google essential oils and animals and get all sorts of varied responses, and the reason for that is because the purity of the oil is not consistent. So some of those people are saying, oh, this oil killed my cat. Well, was it the oil or was it the other chemicals in what was supposed to be a pure oil? So do your homework. Check out, make sure you actually have a pure essential oil if you're going to use them with your animals. I mean, if I'm going to use them with me and my kids, I'm going to make sure they're pure. So not only that, but for your animals as well. Some of the other studies that were done with horses is they actually tested the heart rate of a line of horses. Then they diffused lavender oil. They had a control group, but with some of them they diffused lavender oil, and then they blew a loud air horn to get their heart rates up and give them a fright. And they found that the ones that were exposed to the lavender oil, their heart rates actually came back down to a normal beat much quicker than the ones who weren't. And you don't actually need to diffuse. You don't need to go buy a diffuser for your stable. And if you live in a tropical climate like we do, it's not enclosed, and it's not going to be, it's not going to probably have the effect on your horses that you're looking for anyway. But you can expose them to essential oils by putting a few drops in your hand and offering it to them to let them sniff. You can even put a couple of drops maybe over their noseband on their halter. And even in the trailer you could do that similar. You could do that in the horse trailer. If you've got a horse that's nervous about floating, well, offer them a little bit of oil before you load them, maybe after you load them. Then you could put a few drops on their halter so that maybe they're continuing to smell that aroma as you're driving down the road. Before a horse show too is such a not necessarily the horse show, but before entering the ring, I've had a lot of success in offering horses. There's 3 main oils I use. Past Tense, which is a blend from doTERRA. It has lavender in it, but it also has other oils. Then lavender oil, and another one called Vetiver, which is a root oil. Now, I've had a lot of success with each of these oils. Some horses prefer one over the other, so you'll have to experiment and see which one your horse likes. But I've been at horse shows and offered a horse Past Tense, and their rider as well, by the way. And the following class that they did was the most relaxed and the best of their competition for that weekend. So that horse was a pretty high-strung sort of animal, and when the rider got a little bit nervous at the show, well, that just really, it could feel that, and it really accentuated its already high-strung personality. So we gave Past Tense to both the rider and the horse, and they were both much calmer, much more relaxed, and they had a much better ride. So that's just one example of what I've done. I've had another horse that we showed in the cutting, and he was very young and inexperienced, so he's quite nervous at the show, and we would offer him a little bit of Vetiver during the warm-up, and then a little bit more just before he walked in the pen. And it was a remarkable difference. He was so much more composed and relaxed, and was then more able to do his job as he was trained. He wasn't stressed. So, and it's natural, and it doesn't have those ill side effects. I know there was some drugs that previous owners had used on this same horse that would calm him. Yeah, they were effective in calming him, but they would also cause a lot of digestive issues. So I felt, that's what turns me to the natural solution so much more, is they don't have those ill side effects. That was Vetiver for that horse. On all of this, and talking about all of our animals, cats, I quite often are talking about horses and dogs, and cats are their own unique critter. They are their own unique personalities anyway, but their systems are different physically, so their livers work different, and they can't always break down and metabolize the compounds that are in essential oils. So some can become toxic to cats. So you want to be really careful with your cats. Anything, of course, if you were to apply an oil topically to a cat, it's going to end up taking it internally, because they clean themselves by licking. So the only way I've used it around cats is to diffuse, and they always have the opportunity to leave the room. They know if they like it or not. I've had some cat owners say their cat camps up right next to the diffuser, and there are oils that are perfectly safe to use to diffuse around cats, and she makes sure she doesn't use the ones that are in question. Like tea tree is one that you probably don't want to use around your cat. So, you know, when it comes to topical, that means internal for cats. So if you don't want them to take it internally, you can't put it on them. So I just wanted to make that little bit of a statement about cats. They are their own unique self, and they have to be in their own category when it comes to essential oils. Yes, there are certain oils that are safe, but they're their own unique animal, as we all know. Anybody who's ever owned a cat knows they are unique. But the lavender, what I often do too is after I offer it to my horse, whether it be lavender or vetiver or past tense, I actually take the excess on my hand and I rub it on their poll just behind their ears to just help get them the last little bit of oil that's there. You know, when I do that, I always talk about diluting too, and yes, you do want to dilute whenever you apply topically. When I'm offering it to a horse, I usually just put a drop in my hand neat, which means there's no dilution, and I offer it to him. By the time I'm ready to rub it on their neck, there's not much oil left. I've actually absorbed a fair bit of it, and they've smelled it, so you're pretty safe there. You don't have to go get your coconut oil and put it in your hand as well. You can just put a couple of drops of vetiver, rub your hands together, offer it to him to smell, or lavender, whatever your oil of choice is. So I would love to hear what you guys want to hear about and what we should talk about. You know, next week I've just been coming up with ideas, but I want to know what you want to hear about. So I would love it if you would comment below and let me know what sort of topics you want to talk about. These studies that I was talking about, if you just Google lavender oil on horses, they'll come up. It was really simple, and some of these I'd already heard of previously, especially the University of Arizona one. That was really interesting, how it works on the parasympathetic nervous system. Then, so have a look at that for yourself and see what you think. And if you have any questions, or even if you're watching the recorded version, you can still comment and I'll have a look and see if I can answer any questions you might have. And please feel free to give me some ideas as to what you want to hear about in regards to your essential oils and your animals. Thank you for joining me today. We'll catch you later. Bye.